Tuesday, October 29th, and welcome back to the Damon Bruce Show, brought to you by Ike Sandwiches. Today's live stream powered by BetUS, and I am wearing a Dubliner t-shirt, and that is hitting for the sponsorship near cycle right there. I hope you plan on joining us at the Dubliner this coming up Sunday for Plus Mania 5. We're going to be starting around noon. It's going to be a really good gathering of a whole bunch of like-minded people. Come to San Francisco. The Dubliner in West Portal is where we'll be Sunday at noon. It's the Niners bye week. What the hell else you doing? Again, thanks so much to my man Ike for sponsoring this show. The best sandwich you could ever want, you're ever going to put in your mouth is happening right now at Ike's. Get there and sign up for that Ike's Rewards program. Start earning your way to free sandwiches, chips, drinks, snacks, and a chance to win a trip for two to New Orleans to a little football game that is happening in the month of February at the Superdome. And again, if you want to wager on that bad boy, check out BetUS. They're powering this live stream. Use promo code YouTube150 to have a 150% deposit bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000. And 150% is nothing to sneeze at right there. 125% up to $2,000 on your next two deposits. So there you go. There you are. We are all caught up. And let's talk about what today's thumbnail suggests is the big topic. He's coming. Look, I don't know what version of Christian McCaffrey is coming, but any version of Christian McCaffrey coming to the 49ers has made the 49ers a better football team. You know, there's the team that they were before the original trade for Christian McCaffrey, and then there's the team that they became as soon as he joined the team. It was like a foot found the accelerator and the whole thing just sped up. I mean, the 49ers were pretty good race car drivers before they added Christian McCaffrey, and after that, you know, they're Formula One drivers. Everything started happening incredibly quickly once Christian McCaffrey came into the room. Two totally different machines. There's what they were, which was good. And then there's the 49ers plus McCaffrey, which was great. You then subtract Christian McCaffrey, and you go from what was great to now what is, and I know there's some people who are going to want to, you know, mince words with me here on this. To evaluate the 49ers as anything other than good right now is kind of nuts, and we'll get into that. They're good, but they're not great. And people want greatness. They expect greatness. They demand greatness of the San Francisco 49ers. I have to sneeze. Thank you. You've had two different teams coming and going from Christian McCaffrey. And now he's going to be back in the room. Nobody changes the temperature of the room for the San Francisco 49ers more than Christian McCaffrey. And I'm going to assume something here. I'm going to assume that he's back, and I'm not going to use the phrase and attach better than ever. But I assume that he comes back and he plays like Christian McCaffrey. Same level of effort, which is uncompromisingly fifth gear, pedal to the metal level of effort. Every single time he touches the ball. You cannot find a football player who with your own two eyes, you can see playing any harder than Christian McCaffrey plays. He just brings it, man. He absolutely brings it. He's got just one speed, whether it's the speed for Christian McCaffrey, the running back, or the wide receiver, or the decoy, or the headache that he provides for other defensive coordinators. I'm telling you, Christian McCaffrey just out running patterns out of the backfield is going to create a level of wide receiver separation that I don't think the 49ers have enjoyed since he left. Has everybody slowed down a little bit? Does everybody get a little older? Does anyone become faster the longer they play in the NFL? Well, no. But these guys didn't get that old and that slow overnight. I really think that, you know, we've talked so much through Steph Curry's career about gravity. Christian McCaffrey creates a level of gravity on a football field that I know the 49ers are missing, and they're about to take advantage of if they have it again. I really believe that. Let's just talk about what he might be. What might Christian McCaffrey look like? You know, here's the hopeful math. So the hopeful math on Christian McCaffrey starts with the numbers that he produced last year. 2,023 yards from scrimmage, 21 touchdowns, and he did it in 16 games. So let's just cut that right in half because he's already missed the first half of this year. He's missed the first 8 games. So, bare minimum, let's say Christian McCaffrey's at just over 1,000 yards, around 10 touchdowns in 8 remaining games for the 49ers. You tell me that if you add a guy who's almost going to generate 1,000 yards and 8 to 10 touchdowns for the remainder of the second half of the season, you don't worry about the second half just a little bit less? Now, he's coming back from bilateral Achilles tendonitis. Okay, well, I don't really know what that even means. So just for the sake of argument, let's shave 100 yards off Christian McCaffrey's expected second half total here, 100 yards for each Achilles. So let's subtract 200 yards and let's subtract 3 touchdowns just because. You can't be as good as he was, having been laid off this long, coming back. There's got to be a little damaged goods, but even a damaged goods Christian McCaffrey is still producing more than totally healthy players have been able to produce over the same time frame. For example, having Christian McCaffrey's stats and then subtracting a couple of extra 100-yard performances because of the bilateral Achilles tendonitis, scratching 3 more touchdowns that you assume are going to be left on the field because he's just getting back, that would leave the 49ers with a Christian McCaffrey who, through their hopeful numbers, I would think, in the next 8 games would produce somewhere around just over 800 yards, 6-7 touchdowns. Do you realize that if that's the version of McCaffrey that you get, like the damaged goods version of Christian McCaffrey is still better than the best version of Jordan Mason in the 8 games that he's given the 49ers to this point in the year. Right now, Jordan Mason through 8 games is leading the team with 685 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Again, Christian McCaffrey with completely cut in half and then further depressed numbers just based on, got to take a little something off the table. He's still outproducing Jordan Mason. If you really had to ask, what is the single biggest problem that the 49ers have as a football team? Boil it all down to one thing. Are you going to put it on special teams? Are you going to put it on the defense? Are you going to put it on Brock Purdy? Are you going to put it on a lack of defensive pressure that you thought you were going to get from those upfront guys? What are you going to put it on? What is the one thing that the Niners are lacking? What is the missing ingredient which has made this season tilt? More than anything. And I spent a lot of time thinking about how I was going to talk about this today. Damon did some show prep. Look out. More than anything, the biggest problem for the San Francisco 49ers is converting their offensive output into points. That's it. There is nothing that is haunting the 49ers more than the fact their offensive yardage does not get converted into the points that are required to win high-level football games. This is also known as settling for field goals. It's also turning the ball over in the red zone, which they've done on multiple occasions so far this year. It's coming away with not nearly the point total you wanted at the end of another robust drive. And let me tell you, the drives, they're robust. Damon, everyone slow down. Or it's Brock, it's Shanahan. He doesn't have the magic anymore. It's the injuries. It's a slower Debo. It's an absent Brandon Ayuk. It's rookies that you can't quite trust yet, and Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall. It's an offensive line that doesn't do its job. It's a running game that, although it's good, it's not great, and that therefore the 49ers are not the offensive team they used to be. Wrong. That's wrong. And again, that's a lot of people's opinions. I'm not trying to take you out of your opinion, but I'm going to counter your opinion that the 49ers are garbage with fact. There are 2 NFL teams, 2 of them, producing more than 400 yards of offense per game this year, and the 49ers are one of them. Again, tell me more about your offensive problems. Tell me more about how this is a stuck in the mud, not going anywhere offense, because it's not. Not at all. There are two teams generating more than 400 yards of offense per game every game that they've played. The 49ers are one of them. The number one team in the NFL right now is the Baltimore Ravens. And everyone looks at the Baltimore Ravens and says, well, there's a team that could win a Super Bowl again. There's Lamar. He could win MVP again. And they might be able to do those things. But people have completely removed the San Francisco 49ers from doing those things. And I think that might be a little too early. Again, forget your feelings. Forget your opinion. Look at the facts. If the 49ers start converting all this yardage into point production, they're going to be a much different team in the second half to be reckoned with. And there's nobody on planet football who seems to represent the concept of, I finished this drive off with a touchdown more than Christian McCaffrey, and that's even including the depressed numbers. Let's retard his stats because he's coming back from a serious injury. You know, that's depressing Christian McCaffrey's ability to play this game. He's still really good at this game. Iceman, with the super chat, trying to break a little news here. Deontay Johnson going to the Ravens. Well, again, the rich get richer. Let's see exactly what the 49ers do here. They got a bye week. They got some levers to maybe move or pull, but Deontay Johnson, if he's a Raven, obviously won't be one of them. Thank you very much, Iceman, for the super chat. Cheers. Sip of the day, by the way, right there. That was perfect. The 49ers are one of two teams averaging more than 400 yards per game. The 49ers have the fourth most robust passing attack in the NFL by yardage. Again, Debo, Ayuk, complain, all the way around. Not as good, not as fast, not as separating, blah, 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 blah. They still got the fourth best passing attack in all of football. So even though some people are proclaiming the sky is falling, it is not. Well, what about the rushing attack? Fourth best in the NFL, gaining yards on the ground. The 49ers have a top 5 offense. So then, Damon, the difference has got to be a defense that is so disappointing. Well, it has been disappointing. I don't like the way that they tackle. I don't like the way that they let guys fall forward. I don't like the way that it seems there's too much reaching for guys and not enough pound you right here. You go down hard level football. Having said all that, this is still the 10th best defense in the NFL in terms of yards allowed, and 5 teams in front of them have only played 7 games. You know, I don't love yards allowed used to measure defensive excellence, but when you're in the top 10 in that category, and then 5 teams in front of you have played 1 fewer football games, that's got to count for something. You know, they're giving up 22.8 points per game. 22.8 points per game. That's not abhorrent. That's not an unacceptable number. It's not great, but that's a number that you win more games with more often than not. You know, there are 15 teams in the NFL giving up more points per game. And of those 15 teams, that includes every other team in the NFC West. The Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks all give up more points per game, all have worse defenses than the 49ers. None of those teams have a top 5 offense. None of those teams are about to get Christian McCaffrey. Look, I don't want to sound like I'm all excited, house organ, kumbaya, everything is great and perfect with the Niners. It's not, but it's not nearly the doom and gloom that some people are out there selling. As a matter of fact, I think they're set up to do something in this second half, especially if they dabble by making the right move at the trade deadline. The single biggest problem that the 49ers have is they're not converting all this offensive production into points. The one guy on the planet who can probably help them more in that category than anybody else is supposed to start the game in Tampa coming out of the bye week. So let's hold off on any proclamations and declarations of the Niners being all done, just not your year. And I'll tell you, the not your year crowd, you had a ton of ominous signs. You had a right to be worried based on just the signs, the juju, the vibes. Remember, vibes are the voodoo of the of statistics. They really are. You know, can't explain it, but why are your numbers down? Why is things not? Why are you finding yourself in the loss column instead of the win column? Vibes. Feels like I could use a more detailed answer than that, but that actually tells you pretty much all you need to know. 49ers vibes have been a little wrong. I think Christian McCaffrey changes those vibes tremendously. I think a week off for everybody after a trying off season and a very frustrating, hard to deal with first half of the year. Put that all behind you. Bask in the vibes. Bask in the biggest red zone threat that you could put on your football team. I think things are going to change. I think the 49ers are going to be better coming out of this than they were going into it. Speaking of vibes, and we are going to get there, E. Scott Burns, Sharks no longer winless, back to the Niners. Yeah, we will get right back to the Niners, but yeah, we'll have something on the Sharks before this show's over today too. They did it. I don't want to say it's the greatest game in the history of the franchise, but it's top 10. Look, the 49ers, they've not been optimal. They have not been state of the art. I think we're going to see the best version of them in this game against Tampa Bay. I hope I'm right. I really hope that I'm right. By the way, the Niners, during a game that, remember, at the end of the game, right? At the end of the game, it was such a stressful end of the game that nobody really appreciated how much they took the Dallas Cowboys apart in that third quarter. Dave Lombardi put some numbers out that I thought were really, really impressive. Over the third quarter of 49ers and Cowboys, they outscored Dallas 21-0. They outgained the Cowboys 167 yards to 16. They held the ball for nearly 12 minutes while the Cowboys had it for about 3. Brock Purdy, in the third quarter on Sunday Night Football, was a perfect 7 of 7 for 103 yards, and he led the 49ers with 37 rushing yards, all at the same time, all in the same quarter. According to OptaStats, Purdy becomes the only quarterback since 2000 to deliver over 100 passing yards, over 30 rushing yards, and a 100% completion rate in any quarter, and there have been over 26,000 quarters of football played in that time frame. 26,276 quarters of football played since 2000, and only one of them looked like the third quarter that Brock Purdy just put up against the Cowboys. Say what you want about the level of competition the Cowboys are. If you want to complain about that, clearly you are not factoring in a single team or a single opponent to the other 26,276 quarters that you're just glossing over to tell me the Cowboys aren't good. The 49ers got a chance. Is it the best chance they're ever going to have? Is it the most set up to win it all they're ever going to be? No. But isn't it amazing how often the team that is set up to really have them be their year, it's not their year, and it's the other team that kind of comes from off the pace late in the year that ends up winning. And that's what the 49ers are hoping for. That's the formula that they are praying actually happens. Again, there is no bigger equation changer than Christian McCaffrey. There isn't one. Not for the Niners anyways. It's like when Kevin Durant came to the Golden State Warriors. There was a really good team before he got here. And then it was, oh my God, I've never seen anybody score this easily all the time, every time. Oh my gosh. Like, I knew he was good, but I had no idea he was this good. And Christian McCaffrey's the same way. And then, look, you remove Kevin Durant from the Warriors, and they go on to win another title without him, but they're just, it's not the same machine anymore. You cannot be what you were without that. And I think the 49ers have spent the first half of this year wrestling with it. They're really good at moving the ball in between the 30s. It's from, the 30 in where they're having trouble. And that's where Christian McCaffrey is literally at his best. So they got the right guy coming to solve the problem that they have. I really believe that. I really do. Great coffee today. Great coffee today. Everyone's worst nightmare says the Washington Commanders are better than the Cowboys. Let that sink in. They are. Dude, the Washington Commanders might be one of the 3 best teams in the NFC on any given Sunday. Jaden Daniels goes out there and just performing miracles, laying hands on people. Guy's been incredible. SF Indigo. So you're saying there's a chance? Yeah, I am. I'm absolutely saying that there's a chance. Best chance? Number one chance? Only chance? No. I'm not qualifying it like that. Damon, Cowboys suck. No Parsons too. I hate to tell you. I get it. I'm looking at 8 games. I'm looking at season averages. Take the opponent out of it. The 49ers have the second best offense in football. That's against anybody. That's against everybody that they played. All good teams, all bad teams, all rolled up into one. It all works out in the aggregate in this league. Everyone is pretty good. Again, a bad Cowboy team is still probably better than a good Jaguars team. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not here to declare anything about the Dallas Cowboys because they can come out and look pretty damn good any week, and they could totally lay an egg any week. But I'm tired of adjusting, moving that field goal too. Well, I don't like that opponent. This opponent doesn't impress me enough. An opponent over this opponent by this many points isn't as impressive as a win over this opponent by that many points. Just win. That's it. If the 49ers win the remainder of their games by 1/10 of a point, by 10 points, by 20 points, it doesn't matter as long as they've won the game. What's going on here? Hold on. I'm trying to figure out what's happening in the chat. Vishal says, I just saw a statement from the 49ers. Mooney Ward's 1-year-old passed away. Oh, my God. That is awful. I mean, prayers for that guy's family, what he's feeling right now, what his wife must be feeling, I don't know if there are siblings, but oh my God. I think I spent the first part of this show talking about changing the vibes. That is just so sad. So sad. I don't have any details to share with you, but that's awful. That is grind the show to a screeching halt level sad. Mooney Ward's daughter died. Oh, my God. It's an innocent, sad little girl. I don't have any details. I think she was born with I think she was hospitalized. I don't know. I don't want to speculate at all. I can't. I don't know if I remember that correctly. I know that Raheem Mostert's daughter, when she was born, her child was, in the NICU for a while. I remember that. But that's just awful. Oh, well, you can only hope that, his team can support him with a level of grief counseling, with a level of support, with a level of love and shoulders to cry on and lean on. Oh my God. Just devastating. Absolutely devastating. Well, look, I mean, I feel funny about just going on with the show, learning about that. Again, it's funny. Before I had children, I think I probably could have just gone on with the show. But now that I'm a dad, and when I watch my wife pull out of the driveway with one or both boys buckled into their car seats, and my mind can go to dark places. Just how dangerous anyone could be just driving on the road or things like that. And I tell you, there's something that I wanted to tell you about today that made me so incredibly sad and depressed. Look, there's a World Series game tonight. The Sharks actually won a game, rallied from a 3-goal deficit. Hooray, fun sports, joking around, ha ha ha. I had it today in history carved out for you. Happy birthday to Richard Dreyfuss, by the way. I love Richard Dreyfuss, 77 years old. Close Encounters, Jaws, Mr. Holland's Opus. Great movie, Mr. Holland's Opus. My favorite Richard Dreyfuss movie is Let It Ride. Love Richard Dreyfuss. Today, LeBron James made his NBA debut. That happened in Sacramento. 25 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. Just a look into what would pretty much happen on a nightly basis over the next quarter century. I had this for my last day in history story because today was a little bit of a sad day in my history. I think it was a sad day in my son's history. I think it was a sad day for the world that we live in. Today, my 5-year-old child, at morning circle, as I'm dropping him off to go to kindergarten, the principal stands in the middle of the morning circle and makes some morning announcements and talks about things that are going to be happening. And she was reviewing what the children had learned just the day before in an assembly and reminding the children that they're going to take everything that they learned in yesterday's assembly, and today they're going to have a drill. And I thought, all right, it's earthquake readiness, fire drill. No. My child yesterday got walked through a school shooter drill. And today we'll drill what the children need to do to live a school shooting. And my heart just sank as I was listening to this. And I'm certainly not blaming the school. The school's doing the right thing. It's due diligence. The school is doing, what it believes will make an unsafe situation safer. But what is terrible is, I had to have the conversation with my child about why would someone want to shoot children? Why would someone bring a gun to my school, Dad? This has got nothing to do with, it's got nothing to do and everything to do with an election, but I'm not making this about politics or anything like that. I'm just telling you that when I grew up, we were a country that had its Second Amendment then. We were surrounded by guns then. We were surrounded by mental illness then. But in my entire childhood, from my first day at kiddie car preschool to the day I graduated from Indiana University, not once was I subjected to an active shooter drill. It is now commonplace. It's common for children to have to go through this. And it broke my heart. And then a story that we just saw together about Mooney Ward's daughter passing away broke my heart again. It was all so sobering and sad. And, again, these are things that until you become a parent, you don't think about, you don't measure your life by any of this until you become a parent. And then the only yardstick you use to measure your life is your children's health and happiness. It doesn't matter what's happening with me. As long as my children are healthy and happy, I'm great. Doesn't matter. Like, you could literally snap my spine. But as long as my boys are okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. To the Wards, the Ward family, the surrounding 49er family, which will be in mourning. That's just, oh my God. So sad. So incredibly sad. Yeah, stealing our kids' innocence, and it's unfortunately necessary. Yeah. Scott says, kind of scary kids are putting this stuff into kids' heads at such an early age, though. But it has to be. It has to be. We are the country that watched a nursery school in Connecticut get shot up, and we shrugged our shoulders and said, we like guns more than we like kids. That's what we did as a country. So in that moment where we learned implicitly that dead children weren't enough to affect this issue, sobering truths had to be shared. And it is sad that children lose their innocence. Just the other day, but this show's not about sports anymore, by the way. Just the other day, we were sent home, an email that the children would be talking to, counselors at school. And this is good. Counselors at school can talk to kids about what's happening at home and find out if there's a level of abuse at home, physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse. And, we were sent an email saying that kids would be having, conversations with counselors about, good touch, bad touch, and all this stuff. And I said, Jillian, it's so sad that this is what we have to do with our children, but we really need to do. We need to arm them with the information that they need to protect themselves. And I said, we can't have the first conversation Jack ever hears about good touch, bad touch be from some counselor at school. So we sat him down and we talked about it. And all the funny, totally innocent, questions that you get from your child when you're having that conversation. Good touch, bad touch. Well, what happens if Ozzy touches my wiener in the bathtub because we're wrestling? Well, that's different. That's not a problem. That's not something you need to worry about. But unless it is, in which case we'll reevaluate then. But parenthood is quite a ride. It really is, and it's a blessing. And God, you never know when it can be taken away from you. And the Wards found that out in such a sad, sad way today. And how sad. Thank you very much for watching. Again, the show that we were doing and then the show that we turned into doing were two different things today. And I'm very sorry about that. I'm so sorry for the Wards. I hope they're granted peace. If that little girl was suffering, I hope she's not anymore. But the lifetime of suffering that the parents are going to now have, oh my God, to bury a child, I cannot even comprehend. Oh. Thanks to Ike's. Let's all go be together at the Dubliner and enjoy each other's company this Sunday, starting at noon, Dubliner West Portal. Thanks to BetUS for powering today's live stream, and thanks to all of you for watching it. I'll be back with Larry Krueger on Wednesday morning. I might be doing something with Brad Graham a little bit later on today, so keep an eye out. But go home, love your children, love your parents, love everybody that you love. Tell someone that you love them today because they might not be here to hear it tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. And please remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it.